Let's roll. This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people, the busters, and everybody else in between. The Wicked Wednesday has begun. We've got a full house on the program this evening. Brady Cannon steps up and in. We break it down. We hit the links. The Raging Redhead. What's in Cam's bag? We've got the Valspar Championship. Of course, the madness has begun. And it's pretty strange that the Grambling States and the Howards and the Wagners of the world were able to be much more entertaining than Virginia and Colorado State was last night, and more of the same. It must be a Colorado thing or something. 14-13 right now with 7 minutes remaining in the first half of this basketball game. The total closed at 143.5. The in-game number right now is 126.5. We're on the Colorado Buffaloes on the money line. I took a PWHL parlay just to get a head start, and it actually won, so suddenly I have Colorado on the money line. I was willing to go up to 3 points with Colorado. The total, 143.5, I pulled the trigger. We're in trouble. The in-game number right now is 124.5, so we're going to wait for this number to drop, and this won't be like the Virginia game. Eventually, these teams will start to score, so we'll just wait for the buy-in. Yet I don't see it right now. It's still too low scoring. Colorado are up 15-14 right now. They're laying 4.5 points. That just felt a little bit high, similar to Montana State and Grambling State tonight. These games are toss-ups. You can like a side, but they're close games, right? So when push comes to shove, it seems like the underdog is the side to be on. But with that being stated, we'll keep our eye on how this game unfolds and develops. We've got NIT action going on right now. Wake Forest is up on App State. I'm on VCU plus the points against Villanova. You know, it's funny. The committee can be right and the committee can be wrong. Villanova, of course, from the Big East. The Big East didn't get a lot of love. And I just wondered, I was like, why? Villanova should not be laying 8.5, 9 points in this game. Seton Hall was interesting tonight as well. Seton Hall were one of the teams that were the most vocal about getting screwed over and not getting into the NCAA tournament. So when I saw they were playing tonight, I'm like, man, these guys are laying 8.5 points against St. Joseph's. I got to wonder. This is like a big letdown for this team if they actually thought they should be in the NCAA tournament. Shout out to everybody joining us on Sirius XM Channel 159. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. 75-72. So Seton Hall actually won the game, but St. Joe's gets the cover. So we've got the game going on right now. Well, we got Major League Baseball. So the Major League Baseball season started in the overnight hours, early in the morning. For those of you on the East Coast, the Los Angeles Dodgers get it done. They win the baseball game. 5-2 is the final score, but that's not the story right now. And I got to tell you, you want to talk about long shots and sleepers? A long shot and sleeper was that the Los Angeles Dodgers would have a betting scandal going on before they even played their first home game of the year, and it would involve Shohei Ohtani. Representatives of the Dodgers, Shohei Ohtani, accused his interpreter of engaging in a massive theft of his funds, allegedly $4.5 million, to place bets with an allegedly illegal bookmaker who was the target of a federal investigation. Lawyers for Ohtani made the claim after the LA Times learned that Ohtani's name had surfaced in the investigation of Matthew Boyer, an Orange County resident who is allegedly a bookie. Ohtani's representatives looked into the actions of his interpreter and discovered that $4.5 million was missing. Yet there's conflicting stories, as his interpreter admitted and said that Ohtani gave him the money. And it seems to be that there's a paper trail of Ohtani paying off this guy's gambling debts. So obviously the question is, and we live in a suspicious society right now, and I have a poll question up. Feel free to participate. Do you believe that Shohei Ohtani was betting on baseball and betting on sports with an illegal bookie, and his good friend, best friend, interpreter is the one that's taking the fall for this right now? Or did his best friend interpreter fleece him for $4.5 million. There's conflicting stories and reports coming out right now. This is a fluid situation. The news just broke today and tonight. And, of course, the Los Angeles Dodgers play in a couple hours again. He did not seem to be distracted last night, but, you know, it's a strange situation in the sense that his interpreter and buddy was in the dugout last night. His interpreter, was there, and now suddenly his interpreter is fired today, and there's allegations of theft. Yet there was an interview with ESPN that was done in which the detail was basically that Ohtani paid off this guy's debts just because it was his friend and he wanted to get him out of trouble. That was the original story of the interpreter. Then now the interpreter, like I said, there's conflicting sort of statements, and we don't know, right? The LA Times, ESPN is on top of this right now. Jeff Passan and company are breaking it down, but it should be noted the Los Angeles Times were the ones that broke the story. So the Los Angeles Times would be the ones to sort of keep your eye on this right now. As the New York Times discovered through their investigation that the Matthew Boyer, who was allegedly taking bets from athletes and celebrities, etc., that Ohtani's name came up in the investigation. And you know what's crazy? This isn't even the same investigation that LeBron James's manager came up in. And same thing, a federal betting investigation. So there we go. The Major League Baseball season hasn't even started yet, and obviously the internet is blowing up right now. How much money does Ohtani have on this? How much does he have on that? People are, of course, referencing the Great One story going back years. So, you want controversy, you want scandal in Los Angeles, you got it. They're one game in, and you've got it. But there is a baseball game to be played this evening. We're going to break that down. Brady Cannon's going to step up and in. We got Paul Bovey in the house. Ian Cameron, A.K. Babano. What's in the Rage Red Cam Stewart's bag? The Valspar Championship, the Players' Championship was actually a great tournament with a ton of drama and a lot of elite golf. So we'll see if the PGA Tour can keep the momentum going through these tournaments. And I tell you what, Augusta is right around the corner right now. So we have a lot of stuff to break down this evening. George Kurtz will step up, and I look forward to Kurtz's take on the Shohei Ohtani situation as we await Major League Baseball. Basically, the gist of this is Ohtani is not under investigation for placing bets. Ohtani's not under investigation by the FBI for any nefarious deeds. His interpreter was betting with a man who is under investigation. And Ohtani got dragged into this because basically Ohtani paid this guy off and there was a paper trail to Ohtani. This is Sports Rage.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the Purdue that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NC State game on Saturday against North Carolina that stood out most to me, that they not only went on a 5-day heater like they did in '83 when Valvano took them another 6 games and they won the national championship.
The committee didn't sit there at the beginning of the week and think that Oregon, New Mexico, NC State, Duquesne, they didn't sit there planning for all those teams to go and win.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
State and Indiana State are two great mid-majors that look very dangerous. And Bama sent those teams into outer space.
You're looking at a guy that resurrects programs. Iona was down in the dumps till Patino got there. Now you know who Iona is because they were making runs into the NCAA tournament. And now you take a look at St. John's down in the dumps here, resurrecting another New York City team here.
Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart-Team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. Let's do this thing. Well, I got to tell you what, it's March Madness in more ways than one right now. As the Shohei Ohtani story is just blowing up. And any story that involves sports betting, I never really like. And I got another angle I want to come at actually with, because, there's always, there's a lot of politicians right now that are starting to complain about sports betting. They don't like the amount of commercials that are on TV. They don't like this. They don't like that. They want to distract from their own uselessness about how they're not doing anything. So every time there's sort of one of these stories, we saw it with college football when the season started. A bunch of teams and a bunch of players got caught up in it, and then politicians always get upset after the fact. But this has nothing to do. A story like this sort of emphasizes the legality of sports betting, because if they were betting at MGM, this wouldn't be a problem. The fact is, you're betting with somebody in Orange County that's an alleged bookie to the stars, which that makes people ask, what do you have to hide? You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong. Ohtani's interpreter can go into Las Vegas and bet on whatever the hell he wants to bet on, except baseball, right? So then you have to ask yourself, then why are you betting with these people if you could bet on anything? I guess the answer is, hey, California, legalize sports betting. If there was an app in California, he would have been able to get the bets in. That's the moral of the story. So we'll get into this through the evening, and I'll go over.
You see how he did that? You see how he did that?
I did. That was amazing. It was in California.
I should be a lobbyist. I'd basically say, if you legalize sports betting, he would have had no reason.
In California, right on your phone.
Well, why would he have to do this? And I'm thinking, well, he is in LA, actually. Who's else going to bet with?
That was funny.
He doesn't have a choice, to bet with a bookie, because it's not, you know what I mean?
Correct.
But I got to tell you, it's not a good, Brady. It's a weird story. And anytime that gambling, and especially with baseball, it's, the whole Pete Rose stuff comes up. And I have a hard time believing that Ohtani is betting $50,000 on coin tosses like some stars were doing. But at the same point in time, there's no way in hell that I would believe that you're an interpreter in Major League Baseball clubhouses and you've somehow racked up $4.5 million in gambling debts of sports betting, I might add, that you're not betting on baseball, Brady. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I spent a lot of time with Pete Rose way back when I first got to Las Vegas about 30 years ago. And granted, everything he was doing was legal, but we were doing a show out of the MGM Grand Race and Sportsbook, not far from where you and I were, Gabe, over the Super Bowl week. And every time we went to commercial break, Rose was handing me a wad of cash to go bet the ponies. And the next commercial, I want this on that horse and this on that horse. And then when the horses were done, he'd go to the slot machines and then the dog races. And so you ask me, did he bet on baseball? Of course he did. He couldn't stop betting on dogs and horses and slot machines.
He's not going to bet on the one sport he knows the most, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, I'll tell you, as far as Pete Rose is concerned, that's it's another debate. But I did the Expos postgame show, Brady, and it was super cool. I used to pull the Pete Rose and linger around the clubhouses and bet on the games, okay, point blank. So I'm just being real. I was betting on the games. But I used to bet on the same payphone he used to call the bets in. I got a kick out of that. There was literally a payphone, and it was known, like, just imagine, Cam. Imagine too, Brady, like imagine the stories that go on with the only payphone outside a Major League Baseball clubhouse.
Yeah,
right.
Bets,
like
drug deals, adultery. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was known. Like, the players used to grin and see me on, like, it was like the sin line. It's like, yeah, like, and what are you doing on the payphone anyways in a Major League Baseball tunnel? Like, you know what I'm saying? All right, sorry, guys. They have a payphone there. Just to get your last second bets in. It was the Pete Rose hotline. But the best thing about Pete Rose, Brady, was I hung out with Dibble, who was on the team. Yeah. And Dibble, said, I swear to God, he said, I'd run through a wall for Pete Rose, right? Yep. Because he was my manager. He goes, you don't think that I would have noticed or said something? He goes, no one wants to win more than me. He goes, no one wants to win more than Pete. And then it sort of got to, he'd only bet on us to win. You know what I mean? That was sort of.
Yeah, and I agree with that, Gabe.
The thing
I can't imagine Pete Rose would ever bet on his own team to lose. I doubt he ever did.
But the problem was then the bookie caught on that the other two games that he wasn't betting on, he didn't like the Reds that day.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
And it was pretty cold. He never bet on Gullickson. Whatever Gullickson pitched, if you look at Pete Rose's bets, he didn't believe in Gullickson. So he didn't fade him, but he wouldn't bet on him. I actually don't think it should be illegal, Cam, to bet on your own team. It actually incentivizes better play. Like, put it this way. If you're a fighter, Brady, let me ask you, if you're a boxer, you're allowed to bet on yourself. You just can't bet against yourself. You're legally allowed to bet on yourself if you're a boxer. You see it all the time. Mm-hmm. Guys say, I'm getting $2 million for the fight, and I want to make another $10 million because I'm betting on myself to win. Right? They won't even hide it. Boom, I'm laying it down on myself to win. You can do that. I don't understand why a quarterback can't.
I'm with you, but I think that's asking too much of people's honesty and integrity. I just think there's too many bad
it's too
directions.
Nuanced.
There's too many things that could go wrong.
Even with this Ohtani story, that's why I bring it up. He could have nothing to do with it, but, dude, the public jury's already spoken. He's Pete Rose. How much is Ohtani? Who's Ohtani picking for the tournament? There's gifts popping up. Mm-hmm. Everything's a joke. People assume, I have a poll question up. Do you believe that Ohtani is involved in this and his interpreter, his best friend, is a fall guy?
I don't think he is.
I don't think he's at all.
I don't think
I think he'd be nuts to think he's insane. Look how much money he's made. The integrity of him. Everybody's got a friend with a problem. Like, this is the whole thing. People are just idiots now.
Ohtani's not watching NBA games and stuff. That's the thing. He doesn't know. He's not a sport fan.
He's sleeping.
He doesn't appear to be that guy at all.
I agree. Come on, guys. Like, we're smart guys here. If you actually think he's involved in this, I think you're nuts.
No, but and also, Cam, if he wasn't, and the whole thing is he's not involved in this, because if he was, we'd know there's an FBI investigation. The only reason is he is involved. He gave checks to he was paying off his interpreter's debts.
Yes.
That's the gist of it.
Yes.
So people are going to assume, though, that they don't buy it.
Yeah, whatever. I buy it. Hey, man, horse racing, you're encouraged to bet on your horse. Like, everyone needs to chill out.
I'm a Dodger fan and I'm an Ohtani fan, but I will ask this question. Then why is it that Ohtani's representatives made a big deal about accusing a guy of stealing $4.5 million? And now we find out that, well, maybe that's not really fully true, that Ohtani actually knew about this money that was being transferred.
Like, you're saying they wouldn't have brought it up if they thought Shohei was dirty, right?
Yeah, like I'm saying, Brady, there's nothing in the FBI investigation about anything of Ohtani betting on sports. There's nothing about active MLB players betting on sports.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Right? It was just his check popped up. His check popped up in the pipeline. It's not a good look, though. Let's just call it out for what it is. It's like the same thing when the dead bookie popped up and Michael Jordan had the guy had a bunch of checks for Michael Jordan in a briefcase. So, well, this is interesting. It's like,
hey, any edge we can get on your Dodgers, Gabe? Any edge my Giants can get on your Dodgers, we're going to take it. What a better way to start the season. We signed.
I like the Giants over 83 and a half.
I mean,
over 83 and a half, Brady. I like it.
Yeah,
I really do. I really do. I think they had a good offseason. Ohtani's going to hit like a grand slam tonight. This won't distract him. Watch. He's a machine.
No, he'll get angrier. You're right. It'll inspire him.
He went 2 for 5 last night. He murdered the cover off the ball. He didn't hit a home run. He's like plus 270, 280 to hit home run. But the scandal wasn't public last night. It just hit now. So, and this guy's pretty sensitive about his image and stuff. So I can't,
he is.
This isn't the great start of the season we were looking for.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NC State game on Saturday against North Carolina that stood out most to me, that they not only went on a 5-day heater like they did in '83 when Valvano took them another 6 games and they won the national championship.
The committee didn't sit there at the beginning of the week and think that Oregon, New Mexico, NC State, Duquesne, they didn't sit there planning for all those teams to go and win.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Morehead State and Indiana State are two great mid-majors that look very dangerous. And Bama sent those teams into outer space.
You're looking at a guy that resurrects programs. Iona was down in the dumps till Pitino got there. Now you know who Iona is because they were making runs into the NCAA tournament. And now you take a look at St. John's down in the dumps here, resurrecting another New York City team here.
Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
All I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smarty.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Morency. The pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust them, and everybody else in between. The baseball season has begun. Los Angeles won 5-2. The game stayed under the number, and this college basketball game appears to be staying way under the number. We're at the half right now. They scored 50 points combined. It really is amazing to me that the little schools that normally are the terrible games that nobody cares about were super entertaining, and the big-time power conferences are terrible. So Colorado scored 26 points, Boise State 24, in-game total 123.5. We'll get Brady's any quick tournament picks from him in a couple of minutes, but let's get into the tournament. The Valspar, just quickly, Brady. Came close. I had Wyndham Clark. I only played 3 guys last week. Zalatoris, Matsuyama, and Wyndham Clark. 50-1. And I was getting murdered all weekend betting basketball. I was really hoping to cash that, Brady, but it was not meant to be. Destiny was not on Wyndham Clark's side.
You were pumping your fist just like he was, and then that ball lipped out. Oh, my goodness. I mean, Scott Wetzel had Wyndham Clark. Joe Ranieri had Schauffele. Or no, he had Harmon. I had Schauffele. You had Clark. I mean, my goodness. Scotty Scheffler gets us all again. That was tough, man. I mean, I don't think I've ever hit
hell
an
of a
outright
tournament,
at the
though.
Players. Oh,
like
great
it lived
tournament.
up to the hype.
Absolutely. And it's such a random result, typically, the Players' Championship. I'm not sure if I've ever hit the winner there, and I thought I might have had it on Sunday with Schauffele, but this guy Scheffler, man.
I'll remember that next year, Brady. You should have told me that before I listened to you last week. Okay.
I was that close. Hey, I cashed him for a top 20, right?
I thought of you. And I'm Mr. Xander. I've been betting this guy for years, and I said, I'm off the train. I just can't do it. And he was there, and I was like, I can't believe it. Brady's going to be right. I can't believe it's going to happen. But, yeah, wild stuff.
I had him correctly over McIlroy. I had him in a matchup over McIlroy, so that worked out. But different story this week, Gabe. I don't think we're going to get another winner from the very top of the odds board like we have for the last 2 weeks in a row. And at the top this week is that same Xander Schauffele, anywhere from plus 650 to plus 750. Cam, I'd like to hear your thoughts. I think after going through, what he went through last week, I mean, it basically led wire to wire, that mental strain and then the disappointment and all the mental energy and everything that took. I don't see him bouncing right back and being able to get into that same position this week. I didn't fade him, but I don't think he's going to win.
Well, I actually did. And you're going to give me a matchup bet with Thomas to plus money against him? Yes. Harmon to plus money against him? Yes. I think it's very tough for Xander Schauffele now, too, because he's getting a reputation as a guy who's one of the best players in the world. And other than the Olympic gold, he can't close on Sundays, right? And I was in the same situation with Wyndham Clark as Gabe. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend, and I'm like, I'm going to win like a lot of money on Wyndham Clark. And we have to figure out this hedge situation immediately as Scheffler makes his move. I go, there's 3 guys. There's Harmon, there's Scheffler, and there's Schauffele. And we go, Schauffele never wins. You take Harmon and you take Scheffler. So I ended up doing okay. Wouldn't have been great like Wyndham Clark, but that's the reputation he has. And I think it's something that he's going to have to figure out with a psychologist. He's going to have to get over the hump. Remember, he would have won the Masters too, and he put a ball in the water. Yes. The minute he looked at the leaderboard, he's like, he flipped out. I'm like, oh my God, dude, you could have won the Masters. He's a great golfer, but he just can't, when he thinks he's in contention, there's something in his head. And I'd really like to see him get it out of his head because I don't like to see guys fail like that. It sucks.
Right. I'd rather see somebody beat him than to see somebody lose.
Yes, correct. That's how I feel.
So who else do you like, Brady?
I did take Justin Thomas, who's a relatively short shot. I took him at 16-1. And
Coming
I think maybe we're getting
cut.
Right. And I think that maybe gives us a little better price. He probably would have been lower. Had he fared very well at the Players, he'd be, 8-1 or something like that. But he misses the cut. In those 2 rounds, though, he gained over 4.5 strokes on the field on approach. So the irons are still there. And uncharacteristically, it was the chipping that really escaped him. He ranks 11th in this field for strokes gained around the green. So I think that'll bounce back. Coming into the Players, he finished top 12 4 times in his last 5 starts. So I'm not really worried about JT's form. I got him at 16-1, then went down a little deeper to Doug Gim at 46.
Gim Reaper. He's hot.
A Gim Reaper, great stats, 5 straight top 16 finishes, good ball striker, accurate off the tee. He really fits this course well. 16th last week at the Players against a loaded field. He ought to be able to move up against a lighter crew this week here in Palm Harbor. And then I went back to the well with Andrew Putnam. I was on him last week. He did okay, started off well, faded over the weekend. But again, this is another perfect course for him against a weaker field. He's excellent in greens and regulation, accuracy off the tee. I got him at 70-1. And then I went to Sam Ryder at 95. And that number, it's bounced around a lot. I saw him a lot lower than that. And now I'm seeing him higher than that. So it's kind of all over the place as far as the market goes with Sam Ryder. But what I really like about this guy, he is second in the field in hole proximity from 175 to 200 yards. And that is where over half of the approach shots, when you include the par threes here at the Copperhead course at Innisbrook, over half the approach shots are going to come from that distance. And Ryder is spot on from that length.
He also had a low round on Sunday, Brady. He was on fire on Sunday. You see, he went bananas.
Yep.
He was
Yep,
like
he
8
comes
under
in pretty
game for his
hot.
first 12 holes. It was like, people were like, what's Ryder doing? Like, he was on fire. So he comes in with a little bit of a heat. With that's a good price. I got him at 110 too. Like, I don't understand. He should be, in my opinion, 66. He's way out of price.
Yeah, maybe
It's
80,
weird.
but somewhere between 60 and 80, I would agree.
Mm.
Not 100 or whatever. And then I went with some triple-digit bombs, 125-1 on Lee Hodges. What I'm impressed about here, guys, the signature events at ball striker type courses against loaded fields, 24th at the Genesis, 12th at Bay Hill, and 35th at the Players. And now, again, here's another ball striker course against a light field. I think Hodges could be on the move. And then finally, I went really deep, 175-1 with Adam Svensson. He's won before on a correlated course at Sea Island. And another guy like Sam Ryder, he's 8th in this field in proximity from 175 to 200 yards. So there's the Tampa six-pack for you, gentlemen.
Do you have any matchups that catch your eye the most?
I did play. Yeah, I did play. I just landed on one matchup. I couldn't find any more than one, but I played Andrew Putnam at minus 125 over Taylor Moore. Now, Taylor Moore's the defending champ. I actually landed on him last year at 60-1, but I'm going to go against him here because that was his first ever PGA Tour victory. I think he's going to come here into Palm Harbor. There's going to be media distractions, commitments, and he's going to get to the scene of the crime there where it all happened for him and his life changed. And, he might stumble for a couple days before he gets it together. So I'm going to take Putnam over Taylor Moore.
Brady Cannon laying it down. We'll get Cam's picks after for the Valspar Championship, Brady, before we get you out of here. NCAA tournament. The madness has already begun. There's been some very entertaining games. Tonight's game was a lot of fun between Montana State and Grambling State. Goes to overtime. Last night, wild game when Wagner and Howard, Virginia, were terrible, obviously. And can you guys get the Virginia shot up, actually? Somebody had a great T-shirt at the game last night that's very, very fitting. Virginia basketball is Iowa football.
I saw a comment on there that said
this guy. You like that, Cam? Look at this
It's
guy.
so
It's great.
true. It's so true.
I saw a
that's
comment
amazing.
last night that said that's disrespectful to Iowa.
Football. It is.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking. I thought the same thing. I'm like, no, they're not that bad. Come
I
on.
agree.
Like, they kind of their offense is bad, but no, they're bad. Their offense is bad.
That was
It's so
awful
bad.
performance.
Well, you know what? Tony Bennett finally admitted and said for the first time ever, he said, clearly I have to look at the system that we're playing.
Yeah, good for
Like
him.
he's never said that before, right? Well, we didn't execute. Well, he basically knows, right? One of the local, I think the local beat writer or whatever, the local media just had one word, or I guess it's 2 words, but it was simple but true. It just said unwatchable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's bad.
Yeah.
Like when the local newspaper, their headline is unwatchable, you got a problem, right? So it's like
Big time.
you better fix things. But what'd you bet on, Brady? What do you got for us? NCAA tournament.
Well, I haven't bet on any individual games yet. I did fill out a bracket. The SportsGrid bracket is live. I've submitted that. I've got the Wildcats of Arizona as your national champion, doing it not in Tucson, but up the state a little bit there in Glendale. A little bit of
That's
a home
right. They
game
would
for the
play at home.
Wildcats.
If they make it to the Final Four, good call. Home of the Arizona Cardinals.
Kind of a semi-home game there. Also, it would be very fitting for a Pac-12 team to win on the way out. So I kind of like that angle. Not that that's, an angle, a handicapping angle. Maybe the home dome is there. But anyway, I have futures
it's a bold
on
one, considering they haven't won since 1997. The Pac-12.
Yeah, Miles Simon. Remember that one?
Yeah, on the way out, yeah.
But I have futures on 4 different teams, including Arizona. I bet them very early. Got them at 10-1. You can get better now. Again, very early, I bet Alabama. I'm not thrilled about that ticket anymore. But I do have 2 tickets that I bet about a month ago that I like, and that's Marquette and Iowa State. And I got them both at 25-1.
Nice.
And I have them both going to the Final Four. I think Iowa State's going to knock out UConn, and I think I have Marquette losing to Purdue.
We're kind of on the same page. You got some good picks there, Brady, I think. As far as the odds are concerned, getting a head start on some of these. Hard not to. Iowa State might be the most disrespected team in college basketball as far as the media and the public is concerned. Just because they're not
I love that they play great defense. Play great defense.
Oh, they're relentless. Thanks, Brady.
All right, boys. Have a good one.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the review that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NC State game on Saturday against North Carolina that stood out most to me, that they not only went on a 5-day heater like they did in '83 when Valvano took them another 6 games and they won the national championship.
The committee didn't sit there at the beginning of the week and think that Oregon, New Mexico, NC State, Duquesne, they didn't sit there planning for all those teams to go and win.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Morehead State and Indiana State are 2 great mid-majors that look very dangerous. And Bama sent those teams into outer space.
You're looking at a guy that resurrects programs. Iona was down in the dumps till Pitino got there. Now you know who Iona is because they were making runs into the NCAA tournament. And now you take a look at St. John's down in the dumps here, resurrecting another New York City team here.
Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the
All
rim.
I've heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Sports Rage continues. I am Gabriel Morency on the SportsGrid Radio and Television Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. Shout out to all of our television affiliates, platforms, apps, everything else in between. Quick NBA check. Clippers are up on the Blazers, 30-28. Warriors are up 1 on the Grizzlies, 33-22. And the Sixers and Suns, 29-27. So, in other words, all the underdogs are barking so far. I haven't really paid too much attention to the association in the last 2 nights. We've got our eye, but we do have money on an NIT game right now. VCU plus 8.5 against Villanova, and they're actually winning 56-49 right now. Cincinnati's beating the Dawn, San Francisco, 57-52 with under 5 minutes remaining, and we're at the half. Although the second half is getting ready to tip off. Colorado is leading Boise State 26-24. There's so little scoring going on. I swear I'm watching a New York Knicks game. Let's bring in Paul Bovey right now. What's up, Paul?
Wait. Do you have to start out with an insult to my Knicks? First of all, I want something clarified. Which one of you guys has JB Bickerstaff's contact information in your phone?
I do not.
No,
I do not.
All right.
Although, no, listen, it was a nice win for the Knicks in Golden State the other night. I was just kidding. I watched their Philadelphia trilogy there or whatever. It's still scarred from that. But last night, Paul, Virginia sent the basketball world back to the 40s and peach baskets. Tonight, not much better with Colorado. It's true. It's not much better with Colorado and Boise State tonight. 26-24 at the half. Did you bet this game, Paul, tonight?
No, I didn't. The only game I bet, I have to tell you, I was on a heater. I lost it. I'm very annoyed. I'm in my period of mourning because I had the Piston game over, got the great number at 232.5, and somehow they managed to make only 5 at 23 from beyond the arc, and the game stays under. But we're going to be on to tomorrow. We love the fact that there's people not paying attention to the NBA because those numbers will stay soft, because I know you're a sharp and you'll drive my number up. So I'm going to capitalize on that. It's not that I'm not going to be tuned into March Madness. I will be. I'll be playing live. There's a few selections that I am on, but I'm dialed into the NBA right now. I'm on like a 13-2 run, so it's all been good.
Awesome. 13-2 runs. So that's amazing. March Madness set to begin, but you're focused to see. That's the classic smash and grab. It's like when the Montreal Canadiens, Paul, used to win Stanley Cups. Criminal enterprises used to, gather up, and that's when they would rob every jewelry store. And, people would start ripping ATMs out of machines in the other part of town when there's like 3 million people partying, and the police have their hands full in one part of the town. So looking at the NBA tomorrow, the Pelicans are on the road in Orlando. The Pels are 1.5-point favorites right now. The total is 210. Sacramento just absolutely murdered the Toronto Raptors in Toronto tonight. Now they're in Washington tomorrow night, laying 11.5. The total is 239. Bulls and Rockets. Rockets are 2.5-point favorites. Total is 215. Paul's Knicks are in the Mile High City. They're getting 8.5 against the Nuggets. Totals 209.5. And the Phoenix Suns and the Atlanta Hawks are in action. The Phoenix Suns minus 9.5. Total 227.5. And as we alluded to, the Phoenix Suns are in action right now. Rare to see a team playing back-to-back at home. Paul, what do you think about the overnight card tomorrow?
I got to tell you a story about along the lines of your Canadian story, and I'm ashamed of this, but, I was a kid. What do I know? So I'm in the parking lot of the Nassau Coliseum stealing hubcaps as the Rangers and Islanders were in overtime. Okay.
That's so good.
Hubcaps.
That's amazing.
That's old school, Paul. Stealing hubcaps. So you were like, the game's in overtime. So poor bastards were coming out of the game. They're like, my hubcaps.
No. Once you hear score, it's time to pack up and get out of Dodge. That's exactly what we did. I don't know if we even remember what we did with the hubcaps. I know I used a few. I had a 62 Chevy. It came in handy, but we all do these things that we look back on and say, Whoa, yeah, okay.
Anyway, the best thing, Gabe, about NHL overtime, it can go on all night too. It's great for thieves. Like 3 overtimes, 4 overtimes. Yeah. You got a lot of time to work. That's the thing. Beautiful.
It happened,
really
do.
It happened to the UFC fighter the other night. Marlon Vera, he fought Sean O'Malley.
Mm-hmm.
During the fight, someone robbed his house.
Wow.
Oh, God.
That's ridiculous. What a world.
They know, crazy. Right? They were like he said, he goes, they knew I was out of town, and it's like, I don't know, you got to have someone at your place, bro. Like, looking at your place or something like that. But
that's how UFC fighter. You don't have buddies with some weaponry there? Like, what?
And he's talking about how he lost all these like Rolexes and jewelry and stuff. It's like, well, what? You just left it out? You live in Miami too. It's not exactly like the safest place.
That's not too bright.
Oh, I'll be back in 5 days. I'll set the alarm here. Deep, 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 deep. No, it happens to NBA players. Happens to NBA players. NFL players, like some dudes are hardcore. They're like, you know what? He's playing. We know his wife and his girlfriend go to the game or whatnot. I don't know. Like, does Travis Kelce have security sitting at his place when he's playing?
I would think
it's
so.
It's not the type of thing you think of until it happens.
I think you would think of it. I think Paul and I would think of it. If we're rich people and we're on the road, I would definitely have somebody house sitting for me. Seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah, I was like, you're an entrepreneur. You got to make money. You got to do anything you can as a kid to rub a couple nickels together. And hey, you do what you got to do. I'm not proud of these moments, but it happens.
Well, no, I don't disparage you. Like I said, I've been in a couple of riots myself. I can't, things happened along the way. I said I was in a newspaper. I was selling beer to the rioters. They said some people were fueling the fire by selling rioters alcohol. I was on the corner selling beer to people. Hey.
That's a great entrepreneur move, man. It was very smart.
I had a great business going until the rioters realized, you know what? I could just steal it from you. For me, I'm fighting people off by the end of it. And the other one was, I knew there was a liquor store. There was like a liquor store, and there was all this booze in the window. And I'm standing there, and I'm selling beer to people, and I was thinking, man, how long until they realize they're going to smash that window and just steal everything? Mm-hmm. And they did. They did. But that was a long time ago. You know what's crazy, Paul? That was the last time the Rangers won. It was the same era. The Canadians won in 93, and then the Rangers won in 94. So any thoughts on the Phoenix Suns and the Sixers game going on? For you right now, the NBA card right now, Paul? I'm focused on the college. So, what do you think about these NBA games right now?
No, right now I'm dialed into tomorrow, as well as for me it's Saturday, for you guys it's Friday here in the Philippines. So it's morning, by the way. I love watching NBA in the morning because I'm more alert.
Is it 12 hours? Is it 10:48 there right now?
Yeah, it's exactly 12 hours East Coast. So I've had to make a lot of adjustments, and I haven't been able to play any horses, which kind of it's good and it's bad. I think I needed to be away from it for a while, but I'm more focused on the NBA, and that may have something to do with the winning streak. But I'm dialed in tomorrow, and I do like the Houston Rockets. Okay, the number opens up 2.5. I think it's a fair number. Houston's on a 6-game heater here. 4 of those wins have been by double digits or more, or double digits. 5 of the wins by 8 or more points. And they have faint hopes of catching the Warriors and the Lakers for the play-in. I don't think it's going to happen. 3 games behind in the loss column. But I just think the Bulls have been catching teams at the right time. They got blown out by the Clippers twice. They beat Portland by only 3 points. They caught Indiana when the Pacers the prior night had beaten OKC. And the last time these two teams played, it went to overtime. The Bulls got the best of it. They outscored the opposition by 24 from beyond the arc. Their free throw shooting with the Rockets, not very good. I just think they're in a position where they're going to win this game, win it handily. and make a run. And they don't have anything to lose, because even if they win, I don't think they're going to fall and lose any seeding when it comes to draft picks here, or potential draft picks, because they're well ahead of the teams behind them. So I do like Houston here, and it's one of the teams I'm leaning to tomorrow night.
Short price, -2.5 right now. Total 215. Rockets -140 on the money line. The Bulls +120 on the money line. So with the playoffs around the corner, Paul, who stands out to you as far as the real contenders, as far as future players are concerned? It seems like Denver and Boston are on a collision course.
I would have to agree with that. You wonder about the Clippers, and will they hold up? They've hit the skids a little bit recently, and maybe they're just kind of laying in wait, knowing that they've got to protect the integrity of their health going into the playoffs. I think that could be a possibility, a real possibility. I'm not sold on OKC. I've seen the Thunder get beaten down by the Lakers twice. Tonight they were struggling with Utah, a depleted team that's without Markkanen and Jordan Clarkson. So I'm not sold on them. And I do agree with you. I think that those two teams are on a collision course. Obviously, I hope the New York Knicks can compete. Josh Hart has really stepped up. I don't think we're going to get much productivity from Randall, which I referenced many weeks back, based on the injury, which I sustained and had and know the effects of, and the long-term, short-term effects of. So I do hope that the Knicks make a run, and I think they can. Can they beat the Celtics in a 7-game series? Probably not, but I do think they can win a couple rounds in the playoffs. So I would agree with you. I do think it's Denver and Boston getting the conference championships and going into the finals.
How do you feel about the Lakers? And I'm not talking about title chances, but they won't be an easy team to deal with, like if they get into a playoff series.
No, the Lakers are very capable. One day they show there's two sides of the Lakers, and they have a side which can compete with any team. And you've got arguably the best player in basketball, or one of the best players in basketball. Can't argue with that. And AD, obviously a major force in the middle. Austin Reeves has really excelled and over-delivered and surprised a lot of people. So I think the Lakers can compete if they get there. And if they take on OKC in the first, second round, they can beat the Thunder.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. And the thing is, in the playoffs, the games are stretched out, which is to LeBron's advantage.
SportsGrid's going to have you covered for this NCAA tournament.
That's the movie that we know. When it's win or go home, they love to go home.
Tennessee's now in my phony club. They should all get together and drink green tea.
Furman's going to have a chance. That is a team I'm betting on right now.
We are feeling this. You are feeling this at home. The excitement and the atmosphere.
Only on SportsGrid.
The NC State game on Saturday against North Carolina that stood out most to me, that they not only went on a 5-day heater like they did in '83 when Valvano took them another 6 games and they won the national championship.
The committee didn't sit there at the beginning of the week and think that Oregon, New Mexico, NC State, Duquesne, they didn't sit there planning for all those teams to go and win.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Morehead State and Indiana State are two great mid-majors that look very dangerous. And Bama sent those teams into outer space.
You're looking at a guy that resurrects programs. Iona was down in the dumps till Pitino got there. Now you know who Iona is because they were making runs into the NCAA tournament. And now you take a look at St. John's down in the dumps here, resurrecting another New York City team here.
Only on SportsGrid. SportsGrid, your 24/7 sports wagering network. Pro League Soccer, powered by Marca.
I would be willing to bet the under 2.5 goals.
Fantasy sports today.
Especially in head-to-head formats in fantasy, I think I'm going to go with Juan Soto.
Game time decisions.
People don't like it. I don't really care. I cannot believe anybody is betting the Clippers at this number.
Betting above the rim.
Always heard you say on the network is you're either winning or you're rebuilding.
In-game live, all access.
Nobody has been more profitable as a dog than Shaka Smart team.
Winning back-to-back road games. I don't care if they're playing Topeka High. I wouldn't give them any chance whatsoever.
In-game live, prime time.
Back-to-back, just utterly stinker quarters.
In-game live, overtime.
Honestly, as you sit here and listen, watch right now, you may want to consider placing that bet.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency, kicking to Paul Bovey, Cam Stewart. In the house, George Kurt's going to step up and in. We'll get back to the Ohtani situation. Let me ask you, actually, Paul, and I don't know how much you know the details and stuff, but just your gut feel, your street smarts, your sense of it. So the story broke today. The LA Times broke the story. There was a bookie in Orange County, California, takes bets from athletes, celebrities, whatever, had famous clientele. Ohtani's interpreter is one of the clients. And there's a paper trail. Ohtani was sort of popped up in it because I guess there were some checks and or payments, whatever, wire payments made from Ohtani. Yet Ohtani, there was an accusation from Ohtani's management that this guy stole $4.5 million. The guy, his interpreter, is told people that he didn't steal the money, that Ohtani basically is his best friend and felt bad for him and wanted to get him out of trouble. What do you make of this story? Because, the way the internet's blowing up right now, everyone's making Ohtani out to be Pete Rose, and they think his interpreter is taking the fall. But I don't think Ohtani's watching and betting on NFL games. What's your gut feel, say, Bovey? Take my poll question right now. Yes or no?
Okay. Well, I'm from Orange County, and I do know that there were several Angel players in trouble with this one bookie, and this didn't get out, and I know the bookie had to write off a lot of stuff, and I'm fairly close with this guy. I found out about it through a third party, but anyway, I wouldn't put anything past these guys. So I really can't make a judgment. What you think is real is sometimes.
Well, you just gave us something interesting by casually dropping the Angels were losing a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So the Angels lose games on the field, Cam, and they lose their bets.
Yeah,
man, these guys,
problem.
they're just getting killed.
They can't do anything right.
More with Bovey on the other side.